So if we have a line that connects two midpoints, that's called our midsegment, and we had a formula that said 2 times the midsegment is going to equal our base. So 2 times this length here in the middle will equal this length out here of our third side. We also know that AB is parallel to DE. So the midsegment is parallel to the base, and the midsegment is half the size of the base. So we have to double it to make it equal. Let's see, from there we did angle bisector theorem. And what this theorem said is that if angle angle E DF is congruent to angle FDG. So that's these two angles down here. If these two angles are congruent, then EF is congruent to FG. These two segments are the same length. And this is one of them that works backwards as well. If EF is congruent to FG, then the two angles will be congruent. Or in other words, you have an angle bisector. So we use this mainly to help us figure out lengths of sides. So usually we're given like a picture like this, we're given an expression here and an expression here, and we're asked to solve for x. So we have to know that those two things we can set equal to each other to find that x. We also had the perpendicular bisector theorem, which is similar in the sense that if you know that B, forgot to label the D, if BD is a perpendicular bisector, so that also means that these two are the same. Then AD will be congruent to CD. These two on the ends will also be congruent. And this is again one that works the other way as well. If you know that AD is congruent to CD, then BD is a perpendicular bisector. Of AC. So these are the 4 main theorems that we worked on in this unit. And a lot of them were just to help us figure out what equation we can set up to solve. Okay, we did also have some more formulas in this unit. So this unit had slope formula again. So we went over slope formula yesterday. We'll do it again today. It also had the midpoint formula, the distance formula that we had to do. So if we flip the page here, we have our midpoint formula where we have an x1, y1 and an x2, y2. So you have to know ordered pairs for this midpoint formula. The formula itself is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2.
So is this the answer for 14b?
Probably, because I think there's one that says like, what's the formula? Yeah, that would be it.
It says list the lengths of 3 segments that will not fit a triangle.
Oh no.
That's like 1, 2, 3, right?
That's using that triangle inequality theorem. Okay, we also have our slope. We did this yesterday. Our slope formula was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, using an ordered pair x1, y1, x2, y2. And then lastly, we have our distance formula. Does anyone remember what that is?
X2 minus X1 squared plus Y2 plus Y1 squared.
This one.
Yep. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, all within a square root. Okay, and what do we remember about parallel lines? They have the same slope. Okay, now there were two little things that I forgot to mention, so we're going to come back up here. I left room for them and then skipped over them. We had a couple problems like this, and you guys actually did pretty well on them when we did them the first time. And it was these two facts that we used. The smallest side of a triangle is opposite. Anyone remember how to finish this? Of the smallest angle. So opposite side is, or sorry, smallest side is opposite the smallest angle. And also largest side of a triangle is opposite, what was that? The largest angle. So we did a lot of, this is where we had the two triangles put together and we had to compare the angles to sides and figure out which one was the absolute smallest side in the figure. You could have one like that again. So this is everything we did in Unit 4 in a nutshell. It was about the theorems and using them to set up equations, as well as about knowing your formulas to show that lines are parallel, to show that distances are half the size or double the size, as well as be able to find midpoints so that you can draw mid-segments. So do you have any questions about Unit 4 in a nutshell? Yeah.
Can you go to 14 attach it?
Yeah, any questions on the notes part first?